Welcome back, Whiskey folk, to the closed Strath liquor store. Yes, I am on location. If you haven't seen my first two videos, I recommend going and seeing them. This is the last part in a trilogy of my top 5 recommendations in different categories at this year's Strath Whiskey sale. It's happening right now. Well, that's the thing with saying that on YouTube, because it's happening right now when I upload it, but you could be watching this 15 years down the road. It's not happening now if you're watching this in like 2037, just so you know. But if you are watching this in the beginning of November in 2022, well, luck is on your side because we have some fantastic bargains. And these are my top 5 picks for whiskeys that actually lived up to the hype. Whiskeys that I was really excited to try, and then I did, and they were excellent. Now, I have one little thing to get out of the way before that, because there is one whiskey that fits into a slightly adjacent category. And that is one where I really want to try it and I haven't yet. And I'm a very lucky person that I can actually only say that about one whiskey in the sale right now. But shout out to that whiskey. It is, it's quite heavy. Redbreast 27. Really looking forward to trying this one. I'm trying to find an excuse to open a bottle. I will find it. I will make sure that we don't sell completely out of this. I will save one bottle for a tasting at some point for the Dram Association. But yeah, it's pretty special that we have this. I don't think we should have this, but we do, and we got quite a lot of it, and we put it in the sale. So if you're surprised to see this, like I was surprised to see it when it arrived, pick it up. Apparently it's fantastic. I'll let you know in a couple of weeks or months when I've tried it too. But hopefully it'll live up to the hype. But here's 5 whiskies that did. Number 5, a whiskey that I had recommended from several friends in Scotland that I was really excited was coming over here. So excited, in fact, I might have gone a little overboard and taken the exclusive in BC, which was maybe a bit presumptuous of me because I had heard of it. I knew it was apparently really, really good, but I don't think many people over here had. So I'm still trying to put out the good word. We have a decent amount of this left, but I'm okay with that because I'm more than happy for this to be on the shelf because it just means I can restock again when my bottle runs out. And that is the Ardnamurchan Pol Noir cask, or Pol Noir release rather. A particularly interesting special whiskey. To the best of my knowledge, this is the first example of a single malt Scotch whiskey matured in champagne casks, which is particularly weird because most champagne isn't cask conditioned. I think Pol Noir is the only champagne house that does. You can look up pictures online, it's kind of interesting. They suspend the casks from wires from the ceiling, which just feels like the most possible French thing to do. And this is really, really good. And I'm normally not one for gimmicks and special editions like that. Realistically, what's a champagne cask really going to bring to the party? Not that much different to other wine casks, but I was excited because this is the first ever Ardnamurchan that I had that wasn't peated, and I got to feel the actual beauty of the new make spirit that had been matured for 4 or 5 years at this point in some special wood without the peat. Because I love Ardnamurchan, I really do. I love the heavily peated stuff, but I always thought there was something being hidden by the peat, a bit more of a nuanced complexity, and it's right there. This is beautifully biscuity. It's just, there's a lot happening. There's a lot going on in this whiskey that I can't go into detail without drinking it. And that's probably the biggest reason I haven't recorded videos in the store is I can't really drink on the videos that I record in the store. As you might notice, this is one of very few videos I've ever uploaded where I'm not have a glass in my hand. Liquor inspectors tend not to like that on a licensed premises. But I can talk about it, which I do all the time. I work in a liquor store, I talk about booze, that's what I do. This is good. If you've not tried an unpeated Ardnamurchan, but you like the peated stuff, and you don't only like peated whiskey, there are people out there that think they only like peated whiskey. And that's, I don't know, I mean, if you really, really like the taste of smoke and that's the only thing that's drawing you into whiskey, I mean, I get it, but I feel like that's a little sad. If you look at your whiskey collection and all you see is peat right now, branch out. There are so many amazing unpeated whiskeys out there, and a lot of peated distilleries that you find that you like, it's not actually just the peat that you like, it's everything else going on as well. That's what's happening here. Ardnamurchan Pol Noir cask, absolutely fabulous. My number 4 pick for whiskeys that lived up to the reputation is is going to be revealed very shortly, but I got a little overexcited and didn't actually tell you the price of that Ardnamurchan, didn't I? So let's consult the Oracle, look it up, and I'll let you know. Because it's quite, when you're talking about a whiskey sale, the price is quite important in the conversation, isn't it? So, Highlands, let's have a look. Ardnamurchan Paul Noir release, it's 25% off. Regular price $191.22, sale price $143.39. Bargain. All right. Number 4. One of my absolute favorite distilleries, and a release that when I found out it was coming, I went a little overboard. I didn't take it all because I knew that would be a faux pas because I knew the other stores that got it, but I may have accidentally taken more than I was supposed to. But that is because I love Benromach so much. And you know that because in an alternative universe where it didn't sell out in a matter of weeks, I might have been putting our single cask Benromach in this video. However, it was so bloody good it sold out in record time, and we've already confirmed that there's a second one coming in 2023. So you've got that to look forward to. In the meantime, if you like peat and you like sherry and you like those things put together, we've got a whiskey for you. This is the Benromach Contrast Peat Smoke Sherry Cask Matured. Just as good as it sounds. If you've had a Benromach before, those words are probably joy to your ear, and if you've not had a Benromach before, well, the core range is absolutely exquisite. Maybe don't worry about this quite yet. Maybe grab yourself the 15 year first as a bit of a base level to really discover and understand what Benromach's all about. If you've never had a Benromach but you're familiar with other whiskey brands, this is my... I started off thinking about Benromach as a replacement for Springbank because we can't get it anymore because it got stupidly popular. For reasons which frankly just annoy me. I feel like it's just the flavour of the month. Springbank is excellent, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think people are going overboard. And so I started thinking, yeah, Benromach's a great alternative. I've come to the point now where I honestly prefer Benromach. I have Springbank 15 at home. I've got half a bottle. I did a blind tasting against a Benromach 15. Yeah, they are actually kind of similar. The Benromach's better. It really is. In my opinion. Anyway, not talking about the 15. That is not the pick. The pick is the Contrast Peat Smoke, because I already knew I liked the 15. This is one that really blew me away this year, though. And one of the things that really blew me away is the price. It's about $100. Regular price, tax it right here, $100.78. And we've got it on a pretty decent discount. It is 14% off. It's $86.87. $86.87 for a sherry cask, heavily peated. That's the other thing. This is 55 ppm. That's Ardbeg levels of peat, if you're keeping track. And just an absolute stunning whiskey that overperformed in my estimation. I thought this was going to be good, and it was better than I thought it was going to be. All right. Ooh, what number are we on to? 3. Well, apparently we just sold the last one on the shelf, and I had to go climbing up a ladder. It's a Gordon and MacPhail. Let's find out which one. It's an Ardmore. It's a 1998 22-year-old Ardmore at cask strength, 55.5. Love this whiskey. It's from a refill American hogshead, and 22 years in a refill is going to give you quite a lot of really cool flavors. Lets the distillate speak for itself as well. At an older age with the oxidization for an Ardmore particularly, that's really cool. I love Ardmore. I think it's very underappreciated, underrepresented, and it's nice to have a really classic style, good Ardmore in the store. And especially this one reminds me a lot of Old Bowmore as well, which is kind of cool. It's like Old Bowmore without the coastal influence. It's like a Highland Bowmore. So a little less of the iodine, a little less of the salt, and a lot more of that sort of wood smoke, bacon smoke. But this has that sort of floral violet kind of a thing going on, which is really interesting. But it's also kind of zesty, it's very vibrant. Yeah, it's on the older side for a single malt, but it's still got a lot of character from the spirit, which is, I like that style of whiskey, I really do, and I love Ardmore, and this just, it ticked all the boxes before I tried it, and it ticked boxes that I didn't know existed after I tried it. Wonderful whiskey, definitely recommend it. Number 2 in my list of top 5 whiskies in the Strath's 2022 whiskey sale that lived up to the hype is one that we were waiting for a very long time, as we watched jealously as province after province managed to get it, and we were last. We were last, guys. And in fact, by the time we got it, the whiskey that it was brought in to replace was back in stock again. But that didn't stop us. I stocked up because I'd heard amazing things about the GlenDronach 2009. And in fairness, it was a bit of an oversight of mine. I should have put this in the first list of 5 because I forgot how good value this was. I got swept away with how good it was. I forgot it was like... So, regular price $100.78. It's 21% off. It's $79.91. Less than $80 for a 10-year-old GlenDronach, bottled specifically for the Canadian market. This is only available in Canada. It's bottled at 43%, non-chill filtered, natural colour, and matured. Instead of the classic GlenDronach 12, which is in a mix of Oloroso and PX, this is just PX. This is a very special edition that we're incredibly lucky to have here in Canada, and it came about because of some legal disputes, which we don't need to go into again. All I need to let you know is this is a fantastic whiskey. We've got lots. And yeah, this lived up to the hype. It was a long wait, but it was worth it. And finally, my number 1 whiskey that I believe lived up to the hype. And this is a bit of a cheat because we got this in last year, not this year. I don't think it was featured in the sale last year though, so it's the debut in the sale. And it's an interesting one because some of you will see this and think, what hype? If you're familiar with the internet and the whiskey world on the internet particularly, this was review bombed quite heavily, and I honestly think the vast majority of people that went onto the internet when they were just keyboard warriors who just had never actually tried this whiskey, who just wanted to jump on a bandwagon. This whiskey, we had blind in the Dram Association it was a VIP tasting of only Premium Dram Association members, the guys that had been paying $10 a month throughout the entire pandemic, and they were treated to a special tasting when we were allowed to have special events back again. And it went on, remember, in a blind tasting, people didn't know what they were scoring. This is the highest rated whiskey in the history of our club. It outperformed a Brora on the day that this was tasted. It outperformed a 28-year-old Lafroig, I think. I think that was also tasted at the same time. Yeah, it was. And a 30-year-old Bowmore. This outperformed all of those 3 whiskies. And I think part of the reason that it got review bombed is because it's non-age statement, which I get it. I want clarity in my whiskey as well. I want to know how old a whiskey is. But sometimes life's little secrets make things all the sweeter. And part of the reason that this has a non-age statement is there's notes that tell you about the ethos, the idea behind this whiskey. You can find interviews with people talking about this whiskey and discover that they want some of the distillery's characteristic, which gets lost with age. They had to inject some younger whiskey in this to make it taste like itself, if you get my drift. And that's because this is a whiskey that it heavily relies on the character of the spirit rather than the character of the oak. And that's an important part of the whiskey process. And as a fan of blends in general, the blending process in the manufacturing of single malts is equally as important. And I think this really shows you how important that is. And I think it's a real shame, because I absolutely love this whiskey. I was drinking this just the other night. I mentioned this before. Go to my Instagram, my personal Instagram, Whiskey on My Mind, and you can see a photo of me playing Dungeons and Dragons, because I'm a bit of a geek, and drinking a whole bunch of Clynelish, including Clynelish Select Reserve, a whiskey that got so heavily panned on the internet by people who had never tried it that they're not making another one. They made a first edition and a second edition, and then just gave up because people kept telling them not to release expensive non-age statement whiskies, which I think is a real shame. Because this particular expensive non-age statement whiskey, and again, not all of them, really not all of them, most of them are, kind of a bit not great, but there's a reason for Clynelish to have non-age statement, because it probably has some 14-year-old or something around there in it to give it that waxy Clynelish character, which otherwise gets lost if you've got 30 to 40-year-old spirit. Just a stunning whiskey. I'd show you the bottle, but it's nicely wrapped in paper, and I know that I wouldn't be able to put it back on the bottle as nicely as it's currently wrapped. And again, in a blind tasting of whiskey connoisseurs right here in Victoria, this was rated the highest score in the history of our club, over 96 points. And again, if you look on the internet, all of the bad reviews that I've found were from people who I don't, well, just random people on the internet. I don't know if they tried it or not. All of the actual industry reviews, people who actually work in the industry that I've talked to about this whiskey, including people who work for companies like Compass Box, who know a thing or two about blending, absolutely love this whiskey. So I find this a particularly weird and interesting one. For me, I was really hyped to try it because I'd spoken to several people who had and recommended it, and I just love a Clynelish. So it had a lot of hype for me personally, and it lived up to it and then some. Clynelish Select Reserve, I only have a couple of bottles left. I'll gently put this down and then find the price out for you. All right, it is 18% off. Regular price is $1,214. We are giving you over $200 off, 18% off, $9.99.91. Again, they're not making it anymore. I don't know if they ever will. I love this whiskey, I really do. If I could afford to buy more of this whiskey, I would. Frankly, I can't. Although if you guys buy enough whiskey, maybe I'll be able to. No, it doesn't work that way. But I was lucky enough to be able to try this as part of my job, and yeah, I wholly recommend this one personally, despite what the trolls on the internet will have you think. All right, thank you very much for watching my, hopefully you watched all 3 of my trilogy of top 5s from this year's Strath Whiskey Sale, 2022 edition. It's been great. The sale is going on until the end of the day on Sunday, so if you haven't picked anything up yet, and take a look at our website, strathliquor.com. All of the sale information is there. Over 170 whiskies on sale, between I think 12 and I think 33% is the highest discount. All right, check it out. Thank you for watching the videos. I'll see you at a future tasting. Sláinte mhath. Good night.